What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Three is a Crowd podcast. We are here. Andres and Nick are still over there in the Miami. I have returned to my establishment here in the Midwest. Very, very excited to be here. Today we got a little bit
Tornado
of tech recap.
Of the U.S.
What's that?
Tornado capital of the U.S.
Yeah, Tornado Alley. You know, it's just typically how we do it. We got some sports recap, some tech recap. We have a new addition to the team as well, actually. Marco, why don't you pop on screen there and give us a little dance?
Producer Marco in the house.
There he is. There he is. Yes, Marco will be the cog to the machine that we need in order to make this thing work.
Exactly.
Yeah. What else? Oh, if you're watching on the YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment and do all that fun stuff. If you are
like
watching,
us, if you hate us, tell us.
Yeah, just let us know. If you disagree with us, I'd love to clap back on you. I'm known for doing that on TikTok. I love clapping back at you idiots. Next, Spotify. If you're on Spotify, make sure you're following us and liking all that fun stuff.
Again, let us know if Ray's talking too much. Just let us know, and we'll try to fix that.
Yeah. Okay. Continuing on. Continuing on. I guess we'll just get right into sports, huh? We'll get right into sports. Nick and I went to the Dolphins game this past weekend, as he actually held up his side of the bargain, and he actually came with me, which you know, it was nice. I was pleasantly surprised. I was pleasantly surprised. So he came. We watched the game. The Dolphins annihilated the Texans, obviously.
Another week, fins up, baby. Every podcast we've had, the Fins have not lost since we started the podcast. Just want to throw that out there.
I'll tell you what, though. I'm speaking now. I'm speaking directly to the Dolphins organization. Once they watch this podcast, they'll hear this. Guys, you crushed the Texans. You did so well that actually my fantasy players had to come out of the game. So maybe next time, go a little easy and then, bring it on at the end. But I need my fantasy guys to get their points because I'm playing against the man who has the curse.
The curse.
He doesn't have the cursed team. He curses other teams in our fantasy league. This is the guy right here, Andres. Every team he plays, they score the least amount of points that they typically score in a week. And Andres just breezes by and beats them by a few points. And that seems to be what's going to happen to us again this week. So he strikes again.
I can assure you guys that I have the worst 8-3 fantasy team ever established. Like, such mediocre players down the board other than Justin Jefferson, Beast, and Jalen Hurts. Just carrying my team, putting an easy 60 to 70 points for me just in those two people. And then the rest of my scrubs score close to their projection of 9 or 10. And I just breeze by. Least amount of points scored on all year.
Yeah, producer Marco is also in our fantasy league. He's also killing it. He's doing a really good job.
Dude.
Producer Marco's in first. Me and Nick are tied for second.
Top of the fantasy leagues here in Miami. Notice, not in Kansas, here in Miami.
Yeah, man, I'm on the rise, man. You guys. I told you guys last week that I was giving up. I retract that. I'm not giving up.
Retract that statement officially.
My team is performing at an extremely high level.
Ray never gave up. He was just putting on this facade as he was adding these players just to pad the fact that if it didn't go well, he'd be like, bro, but I told you guys I was never going to make it. Now that we're getting closer, it's going to be like, I told you guys, look at this. I'm coming up. I'm taking the last spot in the playoffs.
I don't know what you guys want from me. I don't know if you want optimism, pessimism. Right now I'm in 7th, I think.
You're in 7th, so top 6 makes it. So Ray's right there.
I'm knocking on the door, man. I'm knocking on the door. I had a fantastic showing from. I also started too at Nick, so I feel that that Dolphin sentiment there that Keep on playing those guys. Get us some
Dude, I
fantasy
think that's
points.
crazy. How many fantasy points did he score? 17?
19 or 17. Yeah.
I think it was 17, and he had 299 passing yards.
Yeah.
Usually,
In one half.
I know. Usually that's 10 more fantasy points, like typically what you see. But that's how
I
the
don't know.
cards played out. For
He only
this
threw
week.
one touchdown, right?
I don't know. I feel like he had to have thrown for
one.
more than one. We scored 30 points, dude.
Producer Marco confirms 1 TD.
Oh wow, damn.
Dude, and I was
killing it.
shaking in my boots during that game when Tyreek got absolutely smoked.
Oof. I thought he was done.
He got folded like a chair. But I mean, he popped right back up, but still, you gotta feel that the next morning.
Nah, I don't know. I'm glad. I'm obviously glad he's okay. I wanted to get a little bit more points there, but you know what? As a Dolphin fan, through and through. Oh, hold on. Actually, give me 1 second.
Boys throwing the little Dolphins fitted on. Oh no, that's a little snapback.
That's a Dolphins fan through and through. I appreciate that coaching decision. I'm okay with it. I'll take it. Whatever. My fantasy team ended up producing anyways. I had Josh Jacobs on my team. Thank you very much. I had Miles
That
Sanders
guy
on my
score
team.
you like 50.
47. I
Wow.
had Miles Sanders on my team. 30 points. Thank you very much. So, it's looking up. It's looking up for your boy. It's looking up. All right. 168 points on the week. Give me most points. I'm going to keep that $10 tomorrow. It's not going to be sent to anyone. It's going to stay in my account. Okay?
I'd like
right.
to apologize for anybody's eardrums that were just erupted by Ray there.
Oh, yeah. Was that loud?
Slightly.
Yeah. I'd like to quickly shout out my bench between 4 players. We're at about 90 points there. Shout out bench. Good job this week.
Whatever.
All right, Ray. Enough with our fantasy league. Take us away. Give us a few. Talk about the Panthers thing.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me finish Dolphins wrap up. Scored 30 points at the half. Defense started sucking major dick. But it's kind of expected when you're up by 30 points. You're not really going to keep on trying that hard. Defense started sucking major dick. Skylar Thompson didn't look great out there. It doesn't really matter. Tua was the guy. Dolphins for the dub. Playing San Fran next week. Should be pretty difficult. San Fran has a phenomenal defense. I think that they've outscored their opponents. I think that they haven't allowed any points in the second half in I don't know how many games, but
5 straight weeks.
Should be a really interesting matchup. I'm looking forward to that. Our star left tackle has a pec injury, so that may be an issue in containing Nick Bosa, which I'm a little worried about. I hope Tua doesn't die again. Yeah, Dolphins.
Next week will be a challenge for sure.
Yeah,
it'll test what we really got.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good test for us. I think that the Bills are playing the Jets this week, or no, the Patriots this week, which is also a huge division game. So I'm excited for that. I'm speaking very monotone right now, but I am excited. Yeah, if you guys listened to the last episode, I kind of said this stat where every team that has played the Carolina Panthers and beat them has lost the following week, whether or not it's a bye week in between. The next game that they play after beating the Carolina Panthers has been a loss. And that remains to be true following the Ravens' loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is nuts. I can't understand. I can't understand it. I don't know what kind of juju's going around. I don't know, man. It's baffling to me. It really is baffling.
And this is just another blown game by the Baltimore Ravens. I think this is like their 6th or 5th game where they're up to start the second half and up to start the fourth quarter, and they blow it. And,
dude, I turned on the game and they're up by 20 points.
Yeah, and the Jags didn't even
came back and scored.
The Jags didn't even have ETN playing. He went out in the first half. I think it was even the first quarter with a foot injury. But Trevor Lawrence showed up. I think producer Michael has Trevor Lawrence on his bench, right? Yeah, the guy scored like 30 points.
Yeah, I can't rationalize that. I really don't. I don't understand what that's all about.
And the Saints have the Panthers in the last game, and I don't think the Saints are making the playoffs. So we were talking earlier before the podcast. Imagine if you're a playoff contender or a team hitting the playoffs and you got to play the Panthers in your last game. You're immediately projected to lose your first playoff game.
So rough. Luckily,
Dude,
the
I
Dolphins
wonder,
don't
I
play the
wonder if the
Panthers.
Panthers have anyone on their team that, or maybe they have like a special position that they specifically hired to do some type of like black magic or something in that field, in that realm, to get this to happen. What do you guys think? Think it's possible?
I mean,
Baker Mayfield throwing some dirty juju on people.
You have to go sacrifice a chicken or something.
Baker Mayfield stinks.
I don't think he stinks. I really don't think he stinks. I just think that there's this rhetoric that he's just the worst quarterback ever, which I mean isn't true. Like he brought the Browns to the playoffs after I don't know how many years, and like they did fine. Like you know what I mean? They didn't advance very much, but I don't think he's an ass quarterback. I just think that he's in a shitty system right now. I mean, one in which Sam Darnold is currently starting, which doesn't really help his case, but I think that
another guy that stinks.
I think did you see that he barrel rolled into a touchdown? This man, not even barrel rolled. He like stop, drop, and roll. This man, he fell on like the 1 yard line and just rolled into the into the touchdown. It was hilarious.
It's terrible.
Whatever it takes, man. Absolutely. Yeah, I think the NFL should be pretty interesting, man. Mike White started for the Jets this week over Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson sucks. He's so bad.
That guy sucks.
Zach Wilson's so bad. So Mike White started and he went fucking off, dude. Fucking off. Like 3 TDs, 300 yards. Like that's fucking nuts. Who is this guy? Where's he from? I have no idea.
Bad look for Zach Wilson.
Oh, terrible look for Zach Wilson. Absolutely terrible. I don't think he gets his job back. Why would he? For what?
I think Zach Wilson has 0 3 TD games over like 8 starts or something like that. And this Mike White guy has 2 3 TD games over 4 starts.
Dude, like I get that's your first round pick in whatever draft that was, but like at some point you're gonna have to be like, all right, like you're not it for us. Yeah. Take your money and get out of here.
Mike White threw for 315 with 3 TDs and 0 interceptions.
Crazy, dude.
Pretty damn solid game.
He fucking balled.
And the Jets defense is locked down.
So we're coming up here to the later part of the season, for the 2022 season. Do you guys think Odell will make an appearance at all?
He's going to the Cowboys. He's going to the Cowboys
this season.
This year.
You think he's going to be like playing for them?
Playing
on the
for
field.
The Cowboys.
Okay.
I don't know. I saw that he got kicked off a flight in Miami like yesterday. You see that?
Yeah. I think it like sucks. I feel like he took like melatonin, let's say melatonin, something to help you sleep on a flight. And then they just caught him. Because, like, if you take melatonin and you're sleeping, you're not there when you wake up if you don't get those full 6 hours, 7 hours.
I think the melatonin might be a little generous, though. It could have been anything.
Yeah, I'm not trying to inquire on my boy here. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Xanax is very similar to melatonin.
Very similar. Oh, producer Marco says that Mike White had a 76.6 completion percentage. That's nuts, dude.
Wow.
Oh my god.
That's a game.
Oh my god.
That's such a high percentage. That's 23.5% lower than my completion percentage on Turkey Bowl on Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, for those that were invested, we did win the Turkey Bowl. And not only did we win, but it was in a dominant fashion. Producer Marco was actually the host of the opposing team. He was the host of it. We were invited guests, and we just
no. El Mago down.
We broke that. We broke that. We broke the invitation. I feel like we might have overextended ourselves, but now they're
Though,
calling.
that was a lot of fun. I haven't played football like that in a while, and I had a
I haven't
good
been
time.
competitive in a long time, bro. I had such a good time playing, and they're re-extending an invitation for us in December. They want a rematch. So I guess business is not done yet. I'm really looking forward to that as well. Now I need to buy a pair of cleats because my cleats broke on impact when I touched the field. But yeah, dude, I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like our squad was pretty solid. Threw for like 5 TDs in case anyone was wondering. I threw for like 5 TDs. I also had a TD catch. Nick had like 2 pick sixes. It was an incredible day. Incredible.
I just want to point out, because you guys were just speaking on the competition aspect. Nick's an extremely competitive guy, and this is also the type of guy that you just can't speak to before 10 in the morning, maybe even 11. And you can always count on Nick to give you at least a 15-minute late arrival. This guy was the first person at the field. People were warming up, and he was out there scouting the other team, looking at other people. You could tell Nick was fiending for some competition after a long time.
Yeah, no, I got the competitive bug the second I woke up that morning. Even though you
almost had the diarrhea bug.
Yeah, I almost needed to play in a diaper because this is not this is not like a conspiracy or anything like that. This is 100% factual. So Marco's team, right? They had a cheerleader of some sort, and her name is Christina, which is also Marco's girlfriend, and she actually poisoned me the night before the game to give Marco's team a higher chance of winning. She put poison in this mac and cheese, and it almost made me wear a diaper to play football. but I was still able to show up and make it happen.
Nick persevered though, man. Yeah,
that was rough.
Nick almost had to be out there in a diaper.
Man,
Christina's also my sister, by the way. It's not just this random person. She's my sister. And we had a Friendsgiving, and she did poison Nick. I saw her do it.
Yeah.
She poisoned Nick.
I also consider playing in a diaper. There was a few times where I was like, dude, do I have to sub out? Like, do I have to take a little break here? But what are you gonna do?
Google, because their search engine's so good that on the way there I could just quickly look up adult diapers near me, and there was several options for me.
Oh man, yeah, no, Nick definitely had some kind of poisoning. I mean, it's not his fault. It's obviously Christina's fault, but hey, man, we still fucking dominated nonetheless, throwing dimes and I don't know. I had a great time. I love competing. I loved it. I wish Marco's team. It was a tournament fashion, so producer Marco's team played first, and he lost, so we weren't able to play him. But
dude, Marco was by far the most athletic person on his team, in my opinion.
Marco and his brother.
Oh, sorry.
Victor's about to listen to this and be like, I'll put that one up for debate.
Yeah, bro.
I meant on when we played in the final. I guess that wasn't really Marco's team, but Marco was filling in a spot.
Marco was there. Yeah, Marco was there. Yeah. No, Victor's gonna hear this and be like, "Bro, you're about to see me on the field in December, bro. You're about to see me on the field." Yeah, I cannot wait for December. Part 2, Sanibel 2-0. See me out there, producer Marco. I also forgot that we have a sponsor again, El Mago Cigars. You see those beautiful little containers right there? It's El Mago Cigar. Go ahead and use the promo that we put in the description. You get 15% off the website. So make sure you go ahead and do that and buy yourself some cigars. We love cigars over here.
Wide and the promo code expires in the middle of December, so it's just in time if you want to order a Christmas present.
There you go.
Feel free.
If your dad loves cigars, scoop him a box. Maybe a little 4-pack. Get him something nice.
Yeah,
something nice. Something boring. Not something boring, dude. Get him something cool.
Don't get him a tie. He can't smoke a tie.
Exactly. El Mago Cigars.
Yeah,
15%
he's gonna
off
remember.
site-wide. The guy that runs the company is extremely generous. He's just willing to sponsor these videos for free. I wonder why.
Yeah.
But make it worth it for him. Come on, buy something. Show us the code's working. Show us people are watching the damn video. Even if you buy one cigar, we'll know you were watching.
Yeah.
And if you buy a cigar, it'd be a great time to smoke it while watching our pod.
Exactly.
That's
You
a night
guys
you're
don't
never
know
gonna
this,
forget.
but there are certain tones and vibrations that we release into the audio that make it for the best cigar smoking experience.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so make sure you're lighting up your cigars when you're listening to us or watching us or whatever the case may be. Bottom
Cigar
line is,
ASMR.
buy a gift you could smoke. Amago cigars.
Exactly. Buy a gift you can smoke.
All right. What do we got? Oh, actually, hold on. I have a kind of like a funny story. I flew back home or back over here yesterday, and it was just felt like a really long flight, dude. Like they moved my seat. I upgraded with miles and they moved me all the way to the back of the plane, like 31, which I was really pissed about because like I
How's
used
that an
miles.
upgrade?
No, I used miles initially to upgrade, and then they like reassigned my seat to the back of the plane. So
So you
I
got-
need to
Did you get the miles back?
I need to go bitch at someone. I don't know if I did or not. I haven't even.
You
looked.
better.
So I fly in to. It's a direct flight from Miami. I fly into Kansas City. It's like 1 a.m, dude. Like I'm exhausted. Like I just want to drive home and go to sleep. And I'm leaving the airport. I have my AirPods on because I want to talk to people. And this dude I hear behind me, bro. I'm like, oh no! Like, did I drop something? Like, what's going on? I turn around and there's this dude, just like disheveled as hell. Like, he's been in the airport for days. It looks like. I honestly thought he was homeless. I really thought he was homeless because I looked down. He has no shoes on. Like he has bare feet. He has bare feet on the airport floor. So I'm like, yo,
That's ridiculous.
is this a homeless man that's approaching me in the airport right now? His eyes are all bloodshot. I'm like, this is fucked up. I'm gonna get stabbed or something. And I turn around. He's like, bro, can I take a picture of your hat? I'm like, what? I'm like, what? He's like, bro, like that Dolphins hat is sick. Can I take a picture of it? I was like, I mean, I guess, like, yeah. I take it off my head and I go and he takes a picture of it and he goes, oh, bro, it's just so crazy. I was just on Instagram and like it was a Dolphins page and he shows me his phone. It's all like Dolphins shit. And then as I'm walking away, he goes, fins up. I'm like, whoa, fins up.
Dude,
Oh my God.
Your whole day was Dolphins related. Even when
I
you got back to
know.
Kansas.
Little did that guy know that I actually went to the game that day. Kind of nuts.
Nice.
Nuts. Yeah, that's all I've got. That's a pretty long, convoluted sports, but Andres, take us away with some tech, man.
Yeah. So I figured I'd lead it off with just a little crypto tidbits, just because people seem to have really liked the crypto part when we talked about FTX on the last episode. But I don't want to go too deep on the FTX because nothing's really changed. Just a bunch of little things are coming out. But something interesting, one to start from Miami. We have a club in Miami called 11. I'm sure a lot of you viewers, if you live in Miami, you've heard of it. And even if you don't live in Miami, you probably heard of it. I mean, every major artist plays there when they come into town. And they actually had a huge crypto presence. They partnered with Bored Ape. They owned the number 11 Bored Ape. If you came to the club and you use crypto, they would throw your NFT up on the big screen and introduce you and things like that. And then they even announced that when they opened their hotel that they were going to allow people to pay in this ape coin. And there's a fact today that I saw. Let me see. I have it here. 11 nightclub was processing an average of $600K a month in crypto transactions last year. And as of today, for November, they processed 3,000 total in crypto. So it's down about 99.5%. If that just doesn't tell you a little bit of distrust and everything going on with crypto. And then another thing from that point of view is Polkadot. I mean, this is a huge crypto. They processed $862 in fees in the last 24 hours. That's absurd. This company's valued at $6 billion, and they're processing $864 in fees. My shitty little bot rental business processed $400 in fees, and we're valued at nothing.
Right?
Don't undermine the bot spot. Come on.
I'm doing the math here for you guys. So they're valued at, you said $6 billion?
Yeah.
They're valued at $6 billion. If they keep processing at this rate, you said that was in the last 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So they would be processing $314,630 in the whole year, and they're valued at $6 billion. That's crazy.
Makes absolutely no sense, and it's just a terrible look for not only Polkadot but crypto itself, because clearly people aren't using it as they intended or as they were previously. And there still continues to be tons of liquidations from funds and other accounts and wallets and things like that. So the winter is definitely here, and things are getting worse and worse. And I'm starting to hear some shady stuff on Twitter about Binance, and they're looking at them to be maybe the next implosion, which would be huge because Binance is the biggest crypto exchange. So that would really hurt people. And the other day when we were talking about Coinbase being the only publicly traded one, and they get their financials audited by one of the big four accounting firms, so everything they have is public, and they posted the amount of Bitcoin that they held, which once Nick talks again, I'm going to look at it. They posted it, and people didn't like that, and I don't know why, but there was like over $1 billion in assets removed off Coinbase. So I'm not sure what's going on. I think people are either selling a lot of their crypto just because they foresee worse times, or they're moving them to these hard wallets, these little ledgers that they can control and not have to worry about. But it's definitely a rough time for crypto. And then something in the tech world, I know it's insane, but somehow Elon Musk manages to keep his name in our mouth every flipping week. He's now battling Tim Cook and Apple. Apple is starting to remove their advertising off Twitter. I believe they were spending on average around 200,000+ a week on Twitter advertisements pre Elon Musk purchase. And then last week, I believe it's down to the lowest it's been over the last couple of years at 105,000. And there's talks about about Apple actually removing Twitter from its app store, and other like Google following suit after, which is obviously making tons of news. I mean, Twitter is one of our biggest social media platforms. Tons of people use it.
Why would they do that?
They're saying that they don't agree with everything that Elon's doing when it comes to the free speech, and they're actually not putting out a public statement. And Elon, from what I saw today, said they haven't announced, like they haven't even told him why they're thinking of doing this. But he is now turned to Elon Musk, the memer, and he's literally adding Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, and posting things on Twitter about it, which I think is kind of funny. And he actually said if Apple and Google were to kick him off their app store, he would be 100% open to making his own phone, which, I mean, I think that's a troll, but if somebody was going to do it, it's probably going to be this guy. But with that, I learned about this app tax that they have on on the App Store, and any app that's making over $1 million in revenue on the App Store, Apple taxes them 30% on all their gains. I mean, that's huge. Like that is
they pretty much own 30% of the company without literally owning them. It's like a 30% royalty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like literally they own 30% of the revenues of these companies instantly. And it's like, "Oh, we love you, but we really want you to grow to 1 million because that's when we're going to start getting you." So, that's been really making the headwinds lately. Just all of this beef back and forward, which is honestly hilarious. And then I guess staying on the Apple topic, Disney brought their old CEO back, Bob Iger, and Disney shareholders love him because he knows how to operate. He's made amazing acquisitions. But the rumors that are like kind of rumbling is that it does not looking like they're bringing him back for an acquisition. It looks like they're bringing him back for a sale. There's rumors going around that Apple is interested in buying Disney, which is absolutely nuts. But Bob Iger and Disney and Tim Cook have an amazing relationship. They've partnered on tons of things together and done a lot of great work together. Um, Apple wants to cement itself into the streaming world a little harder and bring on more of this video aspect where Disney has Disney Plus, ESPN. So it's kind of looking like it's a possibility. And I don't know, Marco, can you look up the valuation of Twitter? I mean, not Twitter, of Disney and the value of Apple? I think it's like 200 billion to like Apple's 2 trillion. So they definitely can make the acquisition, but it would be one of the biggest acquisitions like we've ever seen.
Probably
the biggest. It's probably going to be the biggest. My personal opinion, it doesn't go through. Like the government's done putting so much effort towards not allowing these monopolies. Like how we talked about, I think on episode 1 or 2, how Facebook is just not allowed to buy any more VR companies, and things like that. But
I think that would be like Nike buying Adidas. I don't think it would go through because it's very anti-competitive. It would just be too big.
Yeah. So it's pretty insane to think about because I guess I'm not sure, maybe people from California can relate. We live in Florida, so we see Disney World as like a normal thing. Like you just jet on up to Disney World for a weekend. But at least I see Disney as this massive like monster. And to think that Apple could just show up and be like, you know what, we like this, like we're just gonna buy you is, one, it shows you the size of Apple and the giant that it really is, but it really puts into perspective like the sizes of these companies and how just when people talk about Apple as this juggernaut, like it really is this juggernaut who can almost do whatever they want. So,
and before we fully leave the topic, I want to go over some market as a whole. And a lot of times history repeats itself in terms of trends of the market going up and down. So just so you guys all know, back in the end of 2017, like the very end of 2017, Bitcoin peaked at around 21,000. And literally a year later, that was at the end of 2017. 2 years later, it bottomed towards the well, this is towards the nope. Yeah, 2 years later, it bottomed at the end of 2019, and it was around 4,000. It dropped a little bit under 4,000 for a little bit, and then from there, it took Bitcoin a year and a half to get its momentum back and start going back up, which was at the middle of 2020. It started climbing, and then in 2021, really, it kind of started to peak again, where it got around that 59, 60,000 range, and then it fully peaked literally a little over a year ago in November of 2021. It peaked at over 65,000. So it's been about a year since it peaked, a little over a year. And so if the trend repeats itself, it's looking like we're going to have one more year of crap, and then that's going to be 2.5 years till Bitcoin rallies again, if this trend repeats itself. And I heard a lot that Bitcoin does have this type of continuous trend that you can look at in its whole life. So that's interesting to see. But Bitcoin's definitely, crypto as a whole, everyone knows, has gained a lot of traction since its inception, and since, really in the last couple of years, because it peaked at 21,000. That was like considered insane. And this time it peaked at over 65,000. And right now it's sitting at 16,000. So I don't know where the bottom is going to be, but based on what the trend's showing, the bottom, if the trend is the exact same, the bottom would be about half, like 9,000, 8,000. So I don't know. We'll see what's going to happen with that, but it seems like we got a little ways to go.
Yeah, and like, if we're capturing any of you crypto guys, what do you think? Like, let us know what you think. Is Bitcoin too close to its bottom? Do you see this crazy bull run? I mean, you have people like Kathy Woods saying every other week that Bitcoin's going to be $1 million a coin by 2030, and just these crazy numbers. And at this point, I just don't know, because I mean, the data shows that it does rally and that it does come off these extreme lows pretty aggressively. So I personally am watching Bitcoin pretty closely, and I will be buying some as it continues to dip, and because I do think long term it's at least something you need to be slightly exposed to. And then on the crypto thing as well, Fidelity actually just rolled out crypto, Ethereum, and Bitcoin purchasing to all 40 million of its users. So you're starting to see the bigger banks and investment firms starting to accept it. And something we talked about, I think episode 3 or 2, was all of this headwind that we have and all of these like terrible situations where you see people losing money, like BlockFi, another $1 billion crypto asset manager, just filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They're actually suing FTX because they were overexposed to FTX. They're suing Sam Bankman-Fried and trying to seize his $575 million Robinhood position because he's an early investor in Robinhood. But we spoke about all of these like headwinds and situations that these companies are dealing with, and I think that it's actually good for the space, like Nick said in that episode too, long term, that we need to clean out some of the crap, because that's the only way it's going to start to be safer and more regulated, which I think is needed. I know everybody's like decentralized, no regulation. That's not going to work. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, there has to be rules. There has to be certain rules for things to work effectively. And I think those rules will come out. The US especially is just taking an extremely slow approach on what they're going to name these. Are they going to be a security? Is it going to be an asset? Like, how is it going to work? So I think it should be interesting. And something that we were talking about, producer Marco just sent over. So Disney's valuation is 174.5 billion, where Apple's is 2.29 trillion. And so Disney's total value is actually like only 8 or 9% of Apple's total value. So this is literally like a 10%.
It's fucking scary, dude. It's fucking terrifying.
And like
the disparity in those two numbers, it's nuts.
And like Disney's huge. Like Disney's huge, dude. Their Disney Plus, their ESPN, like all of these things are massive. And it's literally not even 10% of Apple's total value as a company, which is, I mean, again, literally mind blowing. And I don't want to talk about it too much just because it's still like unfolding. But these situations in China, which I was both talking to you about before we started the podcast, it's extremely sad what's happening over there. All of these riots, the lockdowns, the closing again, like if COVID was what it was 2 years ago. And Apple actually already announced, just by these like 48 hours to 3 days of rioting, especially near the factory, they're going to lose anywhere from 6.5 to 7 billion in iPhone revenue because they can't get enough iPhones out. And people read that and they're like, "Oh my God, Apple's done. Like, how could they lose $7 billion And nope, that's not the case. This is a company that's making hundreds of billions of dollars a quarter. And when you get into the trillions, like, I don't think people grasp how many zeros there are in there. Like, we're talking about unreal, like hundreds of billions of dollars every quarter is something that is, even for people who have a good grasp on that, it's hard to comprehend that a company, one single company, can make so much money so consistently. And I thought that I was on Twitter and I thought something was cool that somebody wrote, because I don't know if you guys haven't watched the Steve Jobs movies or anything about Apple, you should, because it's pretty interesting. But if people remember, BlackBerry had its foot on the gas when it came to phones, especially corporate phones, which was like the big buzz because everybody needed a phone. And people ask, how did BlackBerry fumble the ball up 100 points and lose the game? And it's because Apple took an insane risk. It was either a big bust or a huge win. And clearly now we all know it was pretty successful. And then Apple, I think that no company has ever done a better job of quietly integrating your life into these phones and tablets and TVs. Because I look at some of these Google phones, these Samsungs and things like that, and I'm like, dude, that phone is nice. And I talk to a lot of people that have these phones, and they're like, they're better than iPhones.
You good, Marco?
Yeah, why would happen? What was I saying there?
You're saying that Apple integrated slowly.
Oh, yeah. The Apple slowly, like, has you integrating. So when you think about, like, moving over to these other phones, it's like, that's so much work. Like, everything I have is on my Mac, on my iPad, on my computer, on my iPhone. And you're almost like stuck. Like, you're almost like stuck there unless you go in and want to be the bold person that has that green text in those group chats. It's almost become like they've almost made it like a social status. Like, oh, you don't have an iPhone? And like, it's just a phone.
Yeah, like I would never betray iPhone just because of I would never betray iPhone, man.
So I know a lot
love
of
it.
like really high value companies, in order to acquire them, a lot of times they get a 40% premium on their value.
Yeah.
Right? Disney's a very special case, way more special than almost any company because it's Disney. So I'm thinking Disney's going to have a 60 to 70% premium on the price tag. So Apple would probably be looking at least $300 billion to acquire them. And at 2.3 trillion, that's what is that? 15% of their company.
Strategic acquisition.
Crazy. Yeah, dude. And I was also thinking, going back to the Bitcoin last thing, if the adoption of Bitcoin and the popularity and all that keeps up on trend with the way it worked from the peak in 2017 to the peak in 2020, the next peak, if that same trend continues, the next peak Bitcoin will be at around $200,000. So,
wow.
And now with you saying
that's a huge gain.
Yeah, and now with you saying that Fidelity, gave 40 million people access to it, if big money starts adopting it, I think it's very, very possible that we see something like that.
So, I guess a good question to ask people: if Fidelity, Schwab, all of these major Merrill Lynch, all these major brokerages allow their customers to trade, do you see these assets absolutely exploding? Because the big money is people 40 and up, really, like that have lived long enough to accumulate. And like, there's people our age and younger that have a lot of money, but it's not the majority. These are the people with the majority of the money. By them being able to just buy it, trade it like they normally do with their stocks, not only do I think it makes it more credible, like people are immediately going to be like, oh, it's not that risky anymore. Like look at Charles Schwab accepts it and Merrill Lynch. Do you think tons of money is just going to pump into these assets and that's going to be the catalyst to slingshotting these things to like Bitcoin up to 200,000, Ethereum at 25,000? Like,
Absolutely. To answer your question? Absolutely, because you could look at what people know, the stock market. And you can look at the stock market now compared to a year and a half ago. There's companies that we all know, your everyday companies that you've heard of, that majority of the population knows, that are down 70, 80%. And when the market comes back, as long as these companies survive, they're going to go back to where they were, and they're going to regain that loss, right? And that's typically how the market works. The market gets slaughtered and then it comes back. So the same thing, in my opinion, is going to happen to Bitcoin and and other cryptos as well. I say primarily Bitcoin though, because that's the big one. So if Bitcoin and it's the same thing in stocks, if they could create higher lows where the dip isn't as severe, they're going to come back way stronger. And the big money, if you think about like the big financial companies that liquidate hundreds of billions of dollars out of the market and put it into bonds when the market's unsafe, well, that's going to go back into the market. And a company now that's valued at 2 billion, when they start putting hundreds of billions, even trillions of dollars back in the market, that company might 3x, might 4x its market cap. So with a very popular asset class like crypto specifically, I'd say again, Bitcoin, that thing's going to do some flips, and I think it'll be worth a lot.
yeah, and something I totally agree with you on that. And Ray, I think it would be good, like, because Nick and I are pretty knowledgeable when it comes to the crypto, but I think it'd be cool to give like your opinion, because a lot of people know about it but aren't like completely invested in it or don't get it completely. What would be your opinion as like a just general person with some knowledge on the asset class, and do you think it has merit and it does have value?
I don't know. I'm not really a crypto believer at all. So I think anything I say will be tainted in the sense that I don't believe in it whatsoever. I think it's just, I mean, it's pretty foolish to say it's just going to go away, but I don't see it, having a significant part in our history or the way that our currency is exchanged or the way that we even use currency. I think it's just a fad right now, and it's going to end up going away at some point. I don't know. I don't know enough about it to give you like a full dossier on it, but I don't believe in it whatsoever. I think it's kind of silly. I think it's going to go away at some point.
All right, yeah, I mean, and that's fair. And you could see some big money like Mark Cuban is seeming like he's done with crypto, and he was really into crypto at one point and was doing a lot of things with the Mavs, and now he's done. He unfollowed every single crypto company, person, space that he has, and he is just moving out of the space when he was one of the more popular, like bigger people in the space. So it's gonna be curious. I think we're at like a turning point here, where if it's gonna get adopted, we're gonna really adopt it and start to lean into it, and if it's not, it's gonna slowly dwindle away and become a point in time or a time in history where there was this new type of asset class that we dealt with and used and things like that.
I think it was. I think a lot of people made like good money off of it, like quick bucks, and then they immediately converted it into USD and just never touched it again. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I've always been skeptical of the whole thing, just like from the beginning. Like I don't remember the first time I even really particularly heard about crypto or Bitcoin, but I remember when NFTs came out, NFTs started popping out. I was just like, what the fuck is this, dude? Like, Like, how can this be worth anything? Like, how, like intrinsically, like, where is the intrinsic value of this? And they were worth a lot. I mean, NFTs were worth a lot of money, dude. Like there were some NFTs that like I couldn't afford on my best day. You know what I mean? And now they're worth nothing. They're worth absolutely nothing. People lost so much money on NFTs. I don't know. I feel like crypto. I feel like an NFT is just kind of. I feel like an NFT is kind of like an image of what crypto can be. You know, at one point relevant and now worth completely nothing.
Yeah, and I think to speak on the NFT portion, while Nick deals with some technical difficulties over here, if you're watching on video, you're watching it go down. Producer Marco's first time in action live right now, working with Nick. I think the NFTs, it's funny because we just like the word NFT was so aggressively associated with this art and these pictures, which I think was like the worst use case for them because it's hard for people to wrap their head around that. Like, why the hell would you pay for that picture? And in the moment, it was cool. Like, I got the reason behind it. Like, it wasn't the picture. It was like everything, that social status. Like, people could directly associate the picture that you bought, and that's your profile picture, and say like, oh, this is how much that's worth. Like, wow, that person bought that. Like, that's amazing. And I think the part about NFTs is like the social contract, the contract part of it, where you're able to assign royalties and you're able to create these contracts where things can be transferred and assets can be transferred easily. And I think that's the use case that will come down the road because that's what it's there for. And like a sports ticket is going to become an NFT. And that doesn't mean like an actual picture. Like an NFT can be a QR code. It's just the contract, like where now, because of those royalties, if I'm the Miami Heat and I sell my ticket as an NFT, tickets get resold all the time, like constantly. That's why you just heard about this Taylor Swift crap with this monopoly and these tickets going for 10, 20, $30,000. And Taylor Swift is not making anything off that black market where, let's say the Heat sold their ticket as an NFT. The Heat sold their ticket as an NFT and there was a 20% royalty on that ticket. Every time it was resold, the Heat were going to cash out 20% on that and allow them to get that extra value and make that extra money, which I think is like the real use case for it. And I think that's what's going to be like the big differentiator. I think that's where the NFT has the use cases, like these royalty aspects, where these sports teams can now make royalties on these tickets. Singers and artists can make royalties on their tickets that get resold and sold in these black markets where they're not profiting anything. Like Taylor Swift might have sold those tickets in that front row for $800. She's not making any money off the person that sold it for 40 grand the next day, where now she is making money on it. And it's going to create this different type of revenue and different type of like way this thing works. And I think that's the applicable use case for NFTs, not these PFPs and like pictures and little clubs and things like that. Because there's no way to be unique. Like there's no way to be unique in that space at all because everybody can make a cool artwork. Everybody can have a little club that you're part of and a social network and things, but that gets old. Like how many times are you going to use that constantly? And I think that's why, like, and I think we'll see the resurgence of these in the use cases separate from the art. And I think artists can still utilize NFTs because if it's cool art, like if it's good artwork, then it can be sold because some people do like that. And maybe down the road, there's like paintings in my house are a frame and there's a screen on them and my picture's on there. And don't think about it as like a picture of a monkey or a picture of a vampire or something like that. Think of it as like a beautifully painted or created picture that now you get pixelated on your wall or something like that. But I do agree that there's more rough times coming for these asset classes, but I think the crypto itself will persevere. But with that,
I was just going to say that I think that the legal mechanisms that are in place are sufficient to accomplish everything that NFT does. If you just contract for it, if you contract for something specific ahead of time, there's no reason why you would need an NFT or the safeguards or the benefits that come from it. If you have the hindsight and if you do what you want to accomplish through contract, I don't know. It seems like NFT may be a culmination of all that, but I think that right now we have the ability to do that already.
Yeah, but not in a way that integrates the payment aspect. It would still need to be transacted, like what's it called? Ticketmaster would still need to sell the tickets. They would have to then calculate the totals. They would have to reach out to Taylor Swift's team. Taylor Swift's team would have to audit all the sales. They would have to ensure that they're getting paid correctly on the 50%. They would have to go through. That money would then have to be wired, where if it was all done via an NFT, a smart contract, I said social contract earlier, it's a smart contract, and it was all run through a blockchain, every transaction immediately allocates those royalties directly into the creator's account and will be done more smoothly. And it doesn't even have to be associated with crypto. It can be crypto, but there'll be companies on the back end that are going to convert this into USD and literally just provide you the royalties in USD to your account if there already aren't. And if there is, please send them my way, because I like to continue to learn about this. I'm not some crypto guru. I'm mildly invested in the asset class. But I do think that that's because everybody cares about ease of use. Like, nobody wants to do all these extra fucking steps. It's whatever's easy to me, whatever's convenient to me. And it's simple. One blockchain, one area, both parties can audit it almost immediately. Everything's public, easy to see. There's nothing hidden. But I'm not agreeing that we don't have the resources to do that right now. I just think there's a lot more steps that people are not interested in going through.
I think it's interesting what Ray just brought up, what you said about that a contract can serve that purpose over the NFT. I think it's interesting because I actually think that the NFT, what Andres just said, using the Taylor Swift example, it guarantees that the money, the royalty aspect, that part of the contract, it guarantees that it goes to the right places. Like, it's automatic. There's no question. So it, in a sense, it would cut out a lawyer or lawyer fees, which I know Ray loves, in that in that aspect, because you don't have to check up and make sure that you got paid, that the person on the other end held up, their end of the contract, because it's automatic. So I actually think that's an attractive part of it for people.
Yeah, and Marco just sent us Norwegian Cruise Line's industry first NFT collection sells out in 20 minutes. And Instagram just allowed NFTs to be created, sold, bought on their platform. I know Twitter is going deep into this crypto payment space. So it's weird because we're seeing all of these insane scenarios and situations, but the big names are almost using this downturn and down period to slowly capitalize and start to take over and use their muscle and flex their muscle. Be like, all right, you guys dropped the ball, our space now. You already proved that there was hype around it and a place and some merit, because clearly during the crazy time, whether it was the stimulus checks and all the money people were having, people were buying this crap, using it, playing with it, and things like that. So it's weird. I think I mean, the good thing is that we just started the podcast, so hopefully we'll be with you guys through this whole process, and we'll be able to continually unpack it and be maybe a what's it called? I don't want to use the word diary. What's another word? What's another word for like something you can go back to?
Will be a living timetable of the NFT journey.
Diary, scrapbook, and timetable.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I get the allure, but I think there's a certain human aspect that you need to have to most transactions that just legitimize it more than an algorithm could.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that it may be before its time, because as we continue to move into technology and everything becomes online, AI, algorithm based, all people care about is simplicity and ease of use, like we spoke about earlier. And if you can provide me something that I already do, but it's easier, you'll see people start flocking to it because we're lazy. Like our society and just continues to get lazier and lazier. So I don't know. I don't want to keep going too deep. We've been on the crypto train for like 35 minutes now.
Pay your lawyers. Pay your lawyers.
It's actually funny. It's not a lawyer, but we talked about how Coinbase has itself audited by one of the big four. The company that audited FTX was the first accounting firm in the metaverse. Like just an absolute joke. Like literally their storefront was on Sandbox or one of these metaverse platforms. And what do we think? Sam Bankman-Fried got in his avatar and walked in with his VR goggles and got his stuff audited. And then one last thing that I thought was hilarious: his little shell companies are starting to become public now. They're starting to look through, and there's a bank in Oregon, I think. I don't know, Marco, if you can look that up. There's like Sam Bankman-Fried invests in a small town bank, but there's this bank. It services a town of 164 people. It has 3 total employees and handles less than $1 million in assets. And for some reason, FTX decided a few months ago to invest almost $12 million into this bank. For what? Absolutely nothing but bad reasons. But I think we're going to see a lot of these funny little sus shell companies that start popping up all over the place.
I'll tell you one thing. Nobody in this world can be Marty Bird except for Marty Bird.
Shout out Marty Bird.
Shout out Marty.
Ozark is such a good show, dude.
Best show ever. Best show ever. Shout out Marty. All right, do you want me to bring us into the hot take?
Yeah, roll us into the take. We're at about an hour, so roll us in.
All right. So I have to call it a conspiracy theory. In my mind, this is not a conspiracy theory because when something's I guess the saying's too good to be true, but it's too true to be a conspiracy theory. That's what I'm going to say, even though that doesn't make much sense. Okay. You can look it up on Wikipedia, okay? And there's a lot of other websites. It's called Clinton body count, okay? So there's
not sexual.
Not sexual body count, people that have been killed in some way, shape, or form. Now, I guess I have to call it a conspiracy theory because there's no proof, and Bill and Hillary being free is a testament to that. But in the last 30 years, over 50 people in a very close circle to the Clintons have died in mysterious ways, and probably the most well-known person in of the 50-something people, is Epstein, is Jeffrey Epstein, who definitely died in a mysterious way. But there's over 50 people, and 11 of these people were Bill Clinton's personal bodyguards. And most of these people died from like very strange suicides, plane crashes, and stuff that doesn't, it's they were all in his close circle. So to me, I'm calling BS on the conspiracy theory, and I'm calling this a display of power and money. What do you guys think?
Ray, I'll let you take the lead on this one. Unless you
So
want
when
some
you
time
look
to
up-
think.
When you look up the Clinton body count Wikipedia, the first sentence is the Clinton body count is a baseless conspiracy theory asserting that former U.S. President Bill Clinton and his wife Hillary have secretly had their political opponents murdered. I think that the key word there is baseless. However, Wikipedia is not exactly not exactly a testament to credibility. So I don't know. I think that if people have enough power, if people have enough money, they could pretty much make whatever they want happen, whether or not that be within the bounds of the law. But these are like really high profile people, right? Like this is Bill Clinton and his wife Hillary, both of which ran for president, one of which was elected president. So I don't know. I think it's pretty hard to believe that there's a situation where they're able to just have all of their naysayers, all their opponents just killed on a whim whenever they want.
Dude, you can't tell me that Big Bill doesn't look like a stone cold killer, though. That guy wouldn't bat an eye.
You're gonna bet?
So he's got to be a killer.
He was the governor of Arkansas.
He's got to be a killer.
Sorry for anybody from Arkansas, but Arkansas sucks.
Arkansas sucks.
But Big Bill looks like he could be doing
Producer
some sus stuff.
Producer Marco just sent us.
Send us a little link here.
And there was this person, Christopher Sign is his name, and he called out Hillary for how she handled certain emails, and then he was found dead in his Alabama home on June 12, 2021. And of course, his death is being investigated as a suicide. And many people say otherwise. And this whole issue gets into a, Republican Democrat thing, but man, I don't look at it like that. If anybody had 50 people close to them that have just been killed they died in weird ways, I don't know too much. I don't know. We gotta.
It's just so much speculation. Just like they're really infamously disliked, and they're one of the more popular families in the country, and a lot of people have died around them. I mean, just elbow the shit out of my microphone.
I don't know. I think I don't really trust the Clintons. I don't see. I could see this being possible, and of course, we're not going to have facts to prove it. I mean,
as Marco pointed out, like a lot of them were ruled suicide with a firearm, which I mean, like
there was also people on this list. Like, okay, I'm going to continue to read here because it just gets juicier. This guy Jerry Parks, who was head of security for Clinton headquarters during Bill's presidential campaign, was killed on September 26, 1993, as he left a Mexican restaurant in Arkansas by a man in another car that shot him 10 times using a handgun. This guy who died, his son, asserted that his dad, who was murdered, collected a secret file of Clinton's peccadillos. I don't know what that is, but certain file of that, and that his father was trying to blackmail Clinton. So all roads lead somewhere, and I don't know.
Hey, the fact that that's on the stomping grounds, it's probably where my boys got the most pull.
And the fact that this guy was allegedly trying to blackmail Clinton, and then he got murdered.
But it's just such a convenient story. I don't know. I mean,
It's a convenient story.
Of course it is. Yeah, they have something on him, so they're gonna go and kill him. Like that's just like sounds like a movie, dude. Like, come on. I mean, dude,
Tell me, Bill. Doesn't Bill look like the type of guy to just walk up to you with a 12 gauge and just stare you down and pump one into you? Come on.
I get
Bill.
that vibe.
Nah, dude.
Bill's a dog too. Bill's a dog.
Bill's a dog.
Bill got his cock sucked in the Oval Office.
Bill's a dog. Every time that guy's on TV, that's who I'm watching because he's always peeking.
He's always
That guy
peeking.
is always prowling the area.
Always, dude. Always. I think we were watching Trump's inauguration. This guy was just looking at Ivanka. He was just looking at her ass the entire time. It was hilarious. Oh, the guy's funny. But
don't get too close to him.
Whatever. Screw that guy. He should have. That man lied under oath, man. Man, fully lied under oath. Fucking one of the only presidents to be impeached.
Man,
Only been a couple.
It amazes me, like, I don't know, stuff like this, like, and he probably has no record. Like, he's probably never been arrested for anything. I mean, that could be false. He could have been arrested, but he's scot-free.
He has a history of. I mean, this is not related to like what you're insinuating the murders that he's committing, but he had a history of like sexual kind of harassment type stuff before he even got to office. So like, while
he loved Epstein's Island.
We don't know that before he was.
Dude, he was on the list.
He was on that plane a lot of times.
Pull it up. Pull up some kind of absolute concrete evidence that he was on that thing. It's just, bro, like that's just like such a convenient fucking thing to say. Like when you're trying to talk shit about Democrats, it's like, oh yeah, bro, Bill Clinton was on the fucking island, bro.
But it doesn't have to be a Republican Democrat argument. It is common sense.
No, but it is a Republican thing. Republicans use that as fucking as jet fuel as to why Democrats are one way or another. I mean, Democrats would do the same thing if they found out that a Republican might have or might not have been on Jeffrey Epstein's island. If I had to assume, I would say he probably was on his island just because the guy's a creep, right? But I'm not going to sit here.
Trump.
Yeah, Trump's there too. Trump went on that plane too.
I'm not going to sit here and say that Bill Gates. Oh boy.
Yeah, they got Bill. They got Big Bill on there.
I could see Bill being a pedophile. He looks like a pedophile.
Kevin Spacey
is a pedophile.
I don't know, but
Kevin Spacey
coming
was
up on
actually
time
a pedophile. He was actually a pedophile.
Yeah, he was actually a pedophile. But I think that's a good place to end this. Wrap up episode 5. Let Ray, the starter, be the closer.
My father wanted to join today's pod, but he could not. So he wanted everyone to know that when he joins an upcoming episode, he's going to inject humor and knowledge into it. He wanted me to use those words, humor and knowledge. So be prepared for some humor and some knowledge from the Bald Man. I am Ray. That is Andres and Nick over there in Miami. Thank you so much for listening. If you are on Spotify, make sure you give us a little follow. If you're on YouTube, give us a little subscribe and a little like. Leave some comments. Go to Mongo Cigars. Use a promo code. Peace out, suckers.